Perfect. All right. Good evening, everyone. We start today's program with greeting of peace and prosperity. Please note, as I mentioned, this event has been recorded and will be posted on our website. Let me begin by introducing myself and our team. I, Yuvesh Bahati, will be your host. Arshad Khwaja, Hassan Shah, and Mustafa Siddiq will be moderating questions for today's program. Unfortunately, Hassan is working. He might join during the program. Please simply use raise hand features as they will be called upon. Let me take this opportunity to thank all our members. Without your support, this would not be possible. For those that are joining for the first time, United American Foundation is a public advocacy group based in Harford County. We are a nonpartisan entity that strives to equip the citizens of our county with unity in amplifying political voice. Our vision is simple. We want to make sure that we will strengthen the residents with full awareness of political process to make an educated choice at the time of voting. For that purpose, we have started a program called Getting to Know Your Representative. Well, we have local and state delegates and politicians who come on our program, and they would inform us of what they have done and what they are pursuing to do. I would like to inform all our members that we are still in need of volunteers. So those that are interested, please contact Hassan for more information. Today, we are honored to have County Councilman Curtis Beulah as our guest. Born in Milford, Delaware, Curtis attended Milford High School, where he was a talented footballer and a track star. Curtis, I didn't know you were a track star.
Yes.
After high school, he joined the National Guard and later enlisted in U.S. Army, where he served in Germany and in Panama before being transferred to Aberdeen Proving Ground. Curtis took numerous college business management courses to prepare himself for establishing his own business. In 1987, he started his first financial service that continues to operate to this day. Active in local politics, Curtis helped various candidates in their election campaign. He desires to make his desire to make difference motivated him to run for Harford County Council. He was elected as a councilman in 2014 and re-elected in 2018. He represents District F, which includes Abingdon, Cresswell, Riverside, Balcombe, Perryman, Aberdeen, and Harvey Grace. Curtis is a husband, father, and grandfather. He has been an active member of Oak Grove Baptist Church in Bel for last 24 years. Him and Jean live in Abingdon. They have 6 children and 10 grandchildren. Without any further delay, let's welcome our councilman, Curtis Beulah. Curtis, floor is all yours.
Well, thank you for that introduction. Appreciate it. And thank you to United America Foundation for all you do. And it's an honor and a blessing to speak with you tonight. And thank you for your invite. You covered so much there. There's not a whole lot left for me to say. Like you said, I was actually what happened was when I was helping other candidates run, Gene and I have always been involved in politics, active, helping other candidates get elected. And I guess what happened was a lot of them actually encouraged both of us to run for office because I never, if you would have asked me 10 years ago, Curtis, you're going to run for public office, I would have looked at you like you had 3 heads and told you you're out of your mind. It's not happening. But people, some of the other elected officials encouraged me to run. And I guess in that moment of weakness, I raised my hand and said, I will. But it's been quite a journey, the 7 years that I've been on the council. And I feel that I have made a difference. I know that I have in bettering the quality of life for the citizens of Harford County. I enjoy it. Lord willing, I'm reelected. The plans are my plans that this will be my final term. just to let you know, Lord willing, like I said, I'm reelected for a third time. But what I plan to do is find a good replacement, that lives in my district and see if I can't mentor them, for the last 2 years or so. Because being on the county council, it's not as easy as people think. And it's a very demanding job. And I would say, especially in District F, where I lived in as far as I'm concerned, and I don't think you'll get any argument, I have the most politically active, diverse, gerrymandered district in the county. Okay. Um, and before I actually decided to file, I got a good sense of what the job entailed. I went to a number of council meetings. I watched hundreds of hours of old council meetings on my computer. I knew the procedures. I went there, I looked at the county charter, um, the whole 9 yards. What I was not prepared for was the time commitment. It takes a lot of time to be a councilman, because your council is local. And we all know that politics starts local at the grassroots. And I was asked several times to, shall we say, move up, run for delegate, and even state senate. And I turned it down. And I thanked them, and, I was very honored, but I liked serving the people, and you're up close and personal with the people, and you can communicate with them and see what the actual needs are in the community. And like you said, I have my district covers Havre de Grace, part of Abingdon, Perryman, Bell Camp, Riverside, Crestwell, Cedar Day. And I have just, worked a lot with the people. Some of the things that I feel are some of my accomplishments. One of the only promise, because I don't make promises that I'm 100% sure that I can keep. The only promise I made on the campaign trail, shall we say, my first time when I was running, that I would raise awareness for the homeless here, the homeless situation here in Harford County. And when I was elected, that was one of the first things that I did, because I was amazed the majority of the population was not aware of the homeless situation here in Harford County, especially with children. And we would do the homeless count, and it would come up with a number, but it's far worse than that. And I can say that over the past 7 years, a lot has changed, and we've been able to get a lot of things done through Hope for the Homeless, the Hope for the Homeless Alliance. And one of the examples I like to go to, because, and it's not just, I'm not going to say we did all this, it was a team effort all the way from the national level, the state level, the county, all the way down. Because to give you an example, I forget the exact year, and I don't have a prepared statement, I'm just speaking from the heart. That it was a really cold winter. And between the county and the private sector, we probably spent the better part of $400,000 putting homeless individuals in hotels. But 2 months later, guess what? They were homeless again. So HUD shifted gears, and they wanted to go more to permanent housing. Getting people that were homeless into permanent housing. So they put an emphasis on that. And when I first started working with the homeless, the county, if a person was trying to get into permanent housing, the county would give them $500. And what is $500 going to do if you're trying to get in an apartment in Harford County or get some type of permanent housing, and you have bad credit and they want first month's rent, last month's rent, and a credit deposit? It's not going to get you there. And then you have a lot of people that's living paycheck to paycheck. Well, now with the help of HUD and other organizations, the county, if there's a homeless person, family, especially families with children, they will get them into permanent housing. They will pay whatever it takes, the security deposit, the first and last month's rent, whatever it takes to get that family or individual in housing. And in a lot of cases, pay the rent for up to 6 months and longer. So I am, now there's still a lot to be done because there's a shortage of professional counselors, shall we say, especially for the substance abuse and things like that. So that's one of the things. I've worked a lot in Perryman because their traffic safety, and you have Perrywood Gardens, which is, it's what's the word I'm looking for? Affordable housing, project there. And when I first got involved, I was surprised at the number of elected officials that didn't even know where Perrywood Gardens was. And the people were living in really bad conditions. The owners of the apartment complex, when they purchased it, they made all these promises. There was bat infestation, and they had done nothing other than collected rent. We were able to, get some things done. I remember my first visit there, it was so bad when the sheriff's office found out where I was going. Um, they recommended that I take some deputies along, and actually every visit, I had several deputies accompany me. That's why the, it was a lot of crime. It's gotten better. One of the reasons that I am running again is because there's a lot of work that needs to be done there in Perryman, with all the traffic issues. And now they're talking about building another warehouse. And I think one of them is like the third largest in the United States. And the roads were never designed for that. And I put my traffic situations into one or two categories, either safety or inconvenience. In Perryman, 18 wheelers constantly in close proximity with, private vehicles. It's not a good situation. There's been a lot of accidents. So I've been working on that. And there's a lot of 18 wheelers traveling on roads in Perryman that they shouldn't be on. And finally came up with a solution for that. And that involves Senator Bob Castley. You would think that a county road, and the way to tell the difference between county roads and state roads is if it has a name, it's a county road. If it has a number, it's a state road. And, roads like Pasucia Road in Perryman, we maintain the road. It's a county road. But the idea that I came up with, and actually I got it from a professional truck driver, was to put up cameras, not to catch speeders, but to catch 18 wheelers that are on roads that they're not supposed to be on. For the last 7 years, I've been working with the sheriff's office and the state police. They would go out and catch a few of them and hand out some tickets. And then once they leave, it was right back to normal. But I have to get Senator Castley involved because, like I said, if you would think that since the county owns the road and we maintain it, it would just be a matter of the county council voting on it, and we would get the cameras put up. And the sheriff's office supports it, the county executive supports it, and I have the support of, I think, pretty much all the council members. But no, we have to get enabling legislation from the state to allow us to vote on it. And that's one of the things that's been frustrated with me is the lack of authority, or shall we say power, that the county council as well as the county executive has. So much is mandated to us from the state. And another one of my frustrations is with the school board and the Board of Education, because we have basically no authority over them. we give them basically 50% of all the revenue that comes into the county, and we can't tell them how to spend a dime. We can request, we can lobby, but we have no authority over them. And there's many other things, like I chaired the board to memorialize Sergeant Alfred B. Hilton, which is the only Medal of Honor, Native Medal of Honor recipient in Harford County. And he received the Medal of Honor during the Civil War in 1862. But the bottom line is there's so much rich history here in Harford County that the majority of the people have no idea about. So that's one of the things that a lot of people are working on, and I am honored to be a part of that. And there's other things, that I worked on as far as Havity Grace, making sure that the museums was taken care of. When we get the revenue as far as the hotel tax, so on and so on. I could just spend here all night because, like I said, I feel that I've accomplished a lot, especially with constituent issues. They come in hot and heavy on a weekly basis. I'll get several pretty much every week, everything from neighbor complaints, which I can't really do a whole lot about as far as private property. But, as far as redistricting, I'm speaking about the school redistricting now. I want to make that clear. It's just so many things that, a lot of constituents, and it makes me feel good that I'm able to help people. Gene and I, that's what we do. We enjoy helping others, especially the less fortunate, through no fault of their own. So, I get requests, from a number of organizations. Look, we're doing a trip to Annapolis or something to meet with some delegates. Would you sponsor the transportation or help us out, or things like that? So really, I enjoy helping others, and that's why my business, we're financial services, because as far as I'm concerned, if you get your finance right, you get your spirit right, you've eliminated a lot of the problems that you will have in life. And if I had my way, finance and nutrition would be taught in high schools, and it would be a 4-year requirement. But I'm going to just stop and pause there and just open it up. And, if you would like to ask me, because I could go on and on and on about what I've done and what I plan to do, but I would, just pause and open it up for questions, or if anybody else has any comments or whatever.
Arshad, you want to take over from here?
Thank you for that, Curtis. Certainly your last point about personal finance and lack of even fundamental basic knowledge of it in the schools is important. I think we all have experienced that as we've become adults, that we don't know how to handle money, and nobody in school taught us.
Mm-hmm.
So completely agree with you there. Let's get to know you a little bit better here, Curtis. What made Curtis Beulah run for office? What happened that prompted you to run for it, and what motivated you to continue to run for office as well?
Well, a number of things. One was frustration, okay, with a lot of elected officials. And basically, because we had helped a number of candidates, and a lot of times we saw the best candidate wasn't, didn't win. Well, we felt was the best candidate. But I would say just wanting, we had a number of conversations with a number of elected officials, and they encouraged us to run because Gene and I, I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for my wife. And, she's on the Republican Central Committee. And it's really hard. It was just a number of factors. We felt that, okay, we've been helping other candidates. Maybe we should run, because then we could really do things to help people. If I'm an elected official now, I tell people I'm just one vote on the county council. So anything that I do, I need the citizens. And I've always encouraged citizens to get involved, but just wanted to make a difference. Just wanted to, leave this planet in better shape than when I came in. And like I said, we enjoy helping people and to informing people, because so many people are misinformed on a number of issues, even the basics on the way our government works. And, we're just very involved, and we got involved to make a difference. I don't know how else to put it.
Mm-hmm. And so going forward next year, what are you running on? I mean, are there any specific topics or philosophies that you have that you feel are important to the residents of Harford County?
Well, education, okay, is in taking care of our children. That's one of the things that I really want to try and really get the people together, because we're so divided at the national level and right down to the county level. And one of the things I really want to work with is taking care of our kids, taking care of the kids. I feel that this pandemic has divided, the country even more. And at the local level, I see it, the parents, the vaccinated, the unvaccinated. And I just feel that the kids are suffering, the children, and we should really come together and, bottom line, put politics aside and do what's best for the children. That's one of the things. Housing, Harford County has a shortage of affordable housing. And, that's a couple of things. And making sure that Harford County stays financially sound. In my opinion, the county executive, and we don't agree on everything, but he's been fiscally responsible with Harford County. So I give him a shout out for that, and I want to, make sure that continues, because I see a lot of possibility of a lot of troubled waters ahead. And Harford County, as far as financially speaking, we fared far better than most counties during the pandemic, and we were able to help small businesses. And we haven't raised taxes. Now I understand property values have gone up, and that's a double-edged sword, where your property value increases and your taxes increase slightly. But as far as raising any taxes, we haven't done that since I've been on the council, and have no intentions of doing it. We have comprehensive rezoning coming up in 2015. And that was one of the reasons that I'm running again too, because that was one of the best things that happened to me. I'm sorry, it's coming up in 2025. And I went through it in 2015. And this is one area that I really encourage citizens to get involved, because a lot of the issues that we're dealing with today, like, for example, Abingdon Woods, the Mitchell property that's going up in Perryman, these are the direct result of situations that were made 20, 30 plus years ago, when comprehensive rezoning happened and the citizens didn't get involved. So, and I would say you don't want a rookie, even though I was, but I was dedicated and motivated to go through comprehensive rezoning. I got a lot of experience from that. I worked with a lot of the property owners. I worked with a lot of the attorneys, and I've gotten to know them. And I know who's a scholar and a gentleman and who's not. So that's one of the things that we have coming up that, I'm really going to focus on too, to make sure that we get the citizens involved in that and they fully understand. It was a frustrating time for me during 2015 in a number of properties, because I would go out. I actually went out on weekends. My wife and I, we knocked on doors, explaining what was going on, and say with this particular piece of property and how it was going to be zoned, and knocked on doors. And when it came time for the public hearing, would have one or two people show up. So.
Yeah. Just looking at your district, and this is more out of curiosity, I noticed that there doesn't seem to be a lot of rhyme or reason as to all the neighborhoods that you're representing. Do you know the history behind this? And I see you go up to, Cresswell, down to Aberdeen, Abingdon. Is is this some historical reason for this, or?
Well, and this is not a cop out, okay? But because that's currently in litigation, I cannot discuss the redistricting.
Okay, right.
Okay, at a later date, I
This,
will be more than happy to come on and give you
yeah.
the whole history, but at this time, I am not at liberty to say anything other than it's in litigation.
Is this the litigation that Happy Grace initiated? Is that the litigation you're referencing?
You're correct.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And that's
It's a good question.
okay. So let's how about school redistricting? Is that open for discussion?
Curtis, we have some questions that.
So as you can imagine, Curtis, most of us have children in Harford County, and most of us have children that have attended Harford County public schools. And so one constant point of discussion in all of these video conferences we've had with local representatives has been this topic of schooling in general, and more specifically redistricting. So whatever you can share in that regard, and I know you've already shared some of your points about education and the importance of it in Harford County, but if you can elaborate a little bit more, that would be helpful to us, I think.
Yes, I can elaborate on school redistricting. I got very involved in that within my district. And actually, could you hold one just a second?
Sure.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I was intimately involved with school district, and I supported several candidates for the school board. And I met with, I don't know, Dr. Balson, Cornell, and others, and school board members a lot. I'll just put it like that. Now, we got a better product than as far as the overall redistricting. I think at the end of the day, we got better than expected. I think the lobbying that I did and other council members and many others did, I worked with a lot of the parent groups in Havre de Grace and in Abingdon. But the problem is, to me, it's a number of issues that we face. First of all, Harford County is growing. And at the state level, they don't plan for growth, potential growth. They plan for where we are, in other words, the numbers now, which I feel is a big mistake. The bottom line is the problem is growth and development. And, the infrastructure straight across the board just haven't kept pace with the growth. And the county executive and I have had a number of conversations about this, or several, should I say, because it started with the Havre de Grace High School / middle school, and I really went to bat for that to get that built sooner rather than later. And we're not going to get out of this by building one school every year. There's so many schools that are outdated, at capacity or over capacity, that we really need to put an emphasis on that and devote a lot of resources to it. Now, we're not getting the help from the state that we used to get. Used to, if we were building a school, we would get 40 50% from the state. Now, just to explain to you the way the process works, let's say in the case of Havre de Grace High School / middle school, and basically that came in at around 100 million. Well, the state said that they're going to fund 20 million. Now, the county went to the bond market and got the $100 million for the school, the county. Now, the $20 million that the state is going to put up, that does not come back to the county. That goes directly to the Board of Education. So, you know, nobody, you know, because either we're going to have to do one or two things as far as, you know, because one of the reasons for the redistricting, nobody wants to put a moratorium on building. Because when schools get at 110% capacity, then there has to be a moratorium on building, okay, until we can do something. The bottom line is we have to get really aggressive with this. And like I said, we got to take care of the children. And, you know, it's about dollars and cents, but you only get one chance to educate the children. And it just needs to be more schools, shall we say, updated and built. Now, there's some plans in place. But, you know, we're not going to get there building one school a year. It's just not going to, we're not going to get there. It would take us 30 years to get to where we need to be. And that's one of the things that I'm going to be working on, and, you know, doing a lot with the school board and the Board of Education, because one of the issues that I have, we give them almost half of our revenue and nobody's held accountable. And, you know, we need to make best use of the dollars that we give to them, and it just needs to be a comprehensive plan and looked at, and what we can do to, you know, get our schools under capacity and just build schools. And then in a lot of cases, we wouldn't have to do the redistricting. We wouldn't have to try and move children here to balance the enrollment over here and that. So that's where, to me, where a lot of the, you know, we just need to build the schools. And for example, when they remodeled Meadowvale in Havre de Grace, a lot of people came forward. I know David Glenn was one, and said, okay, based on the future growth, why don't we, you know, it wouldn't have cost that much money. We need to expand Meadowvale, increase the capacity by at least 10%. Well, they came back and said, well, we don't look at future development. We're looking at the numbers now, and actually they decrease by, I think it was 3 to 5% the capacity. And look what happens, you know, where if we would have increased the you know, the number of children that could have went to the school back then, in that area, they wouldn't have even been talking about redistricting.
So you mentioned that the state is not funding as much as it used to. So where do you anticipate? Obviously, we do need to grow schools, and we need more schools here. So this, besides the bonds that we may purchase as a county or deliver as a county, where do we get this money from?
Well, that's a good question. Okay, because nobody wants to hear about raising taxes.
That's right. Nobody wants to. Nobody wants to individually raise taxes, right?
Yeah, but I can say in my informal polling, now I would say there's probably about, if I had to put a number on it, 15, 20%, maybe a little higher, that would say, okay, if it's about the kids, and, you know, I would be in favor of it. But, you know, and especially with this Kerwin commission and all that, all the funding that they're requiring for that, we're just going to have to lobby, get more money from the states. Hopefully we can stay away from raising taxes. But to me, that's the solution there. We're going to have to build new schools and increase the capacity. As far as I'm concerned, this redistricting, it worked out well, but it's just putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. Mm-hmm. You know, we're going to be right back here, because if you look at it, Harford County continues to grow, and Abingdon, for example, is the fastest growing district population wise in the county. You look at Havre Grace with all the development that they have going on in Bully Rock. Havre Grace and Abingdon are looking to annex property so that they can grow. So it's not, I don't see growth slowing down in, the population. You have a number of people like from BRAC. Now that didn't, the explosion wasn't
Right.
as bad as we anticipated, or shall we
Right.
say actually hoped for. But for example, when I go to Havre Grace and, I do First Fridays, I would say over half the people, or now a large percentage of the people that I talk to, because I always ask them, well, where do you live? Well, I live in Bully Rock, and we moved here from New Jersey 2 years ago. And I don't see that trend. I mean, I talk with the developers, and, I consider some of the houses pricey, but they're selling. So it's not a simple problem, but I mean, a simple solution. But when we get down to it, we just have to build more schools and
I
update the
think all
existing
of us
ones
can
that we have.
attest to the fact that there's been a huge population growth, and if we look
Yes,
non-scientifically, just go on the roads during rush hour and notice the
yes,
difference in traffic from just a few years ago.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been here I've lived in Harford County since 1986, and I've watched it just explode. So many areas, like where we purchased our house in Abingdon, right across the street were Wegmans and the shopping center there is. Well, that was nothing but woods.
Mhm.
And now they're talking about widening 24 and so on and so on. So the growth is going to continue. So we need to get the state on board and plan for future developments and just build more schools. Where the money's going to come from, that's the hard part. Because schools are not cheap.
One other area that we want to touch on, I guess surprisingly, we're coming up on almost 2 years in a few months here of this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And, after just the past couple of weeks, we're seeing huge spikes again, even here in Harford County. What's your take on all of this? Where do you see this going? What should we be doing as residents of Harford County here?
Oh gosh, you had to go there, didn't
Some
you?
sense of normalcy here.
Yes, you had to go there. Well, let me start off by prefacing the question with, I put my personal opinion aside, and I try to represent all the people, the wishes of all the people. And a lot of times it's hard to, shall we say, come down one way or the other. But I would say we need to apply common sense, listen to the science, work with our small businesses, work with the parents, and we really need to develop a plan. Work with, the county council. Yes, we act as the board of health. We don't have a lot of authority, but work with the board of health, the administration, to really get a comprehensive plan that we don't do what we hurt businesses, but really protect the public. And the problem I see is, you have the public coming down, we're divided. Some people don't, want to get vaccinated, others do. And it comes down to personal rights. Well, we have responsibility too with those personal rights. So just work with our medical professionals and use common sense and look at the factual science and develop a plan, because Harford County, yes, the numbers are spiking, but or high, shall we say, but they're not that high. But first of all, why? I like the contact tracing. It's, to me, very important. And like I said, applying common sense rules, but this is a difficult problem that's going to take the health department, the county council, the administration, but the public has to play the major role in this and just use common sense and look at the science. And yeah, I think the vaccine plays a role. Mask, I'm a little, I just personally, I don't see that mask does a, unless you're really wearing a quality mask, does a whole lot of protection. I think more it's people touching each other or coming in close contact and so on and so on. So, but
Curtis,
yeah, yes.
Curtis, you mentioned science. Uh, Council also, work as a health head of the health department, and Dr. David Bashai was terminated without explanation. He believes that he was fired because of his science-based views regarding mask and vaccination. Council members have pretty much been, extremely mum about the situation. Are you at liberty to discuss this?
No, I am not. And that's why
Okay.
I, I will say, and no, I'm not really at liberty,
Okay.
but no,
All right. So we'll skip that question, and I'll jump to
Yeah,
no,
let's
another
open
one.
the floor.
yes.
Let's see if someone else comes up with some more
Believe
different
me,
questions for you, Curtis.
and let me just let you know, I am 100% for transparency, other than when it affects national security. Okay. And I feel that the public in general, like I say, other than when it affects national security, if it was left up to me, they would be at every meeting, they would know every single thing that goes on. But there's this thing called litigation and legality, you know, and unfortunately right now, and we do certain things just like, the county ends up in a lawsuit or we end up in a lawsuit. And, a lot of people don't understand that. And I can understand the frustration. But for example, if we push back too hard with the developer or something, uh, as you've seen in the past, we're in litigation, and some of those have gone on for 20 years before they were settled.
Um, by 2023, Harford Memorial Hospital will be a vacant building. Upper Chesapeake intends to sell that building completely. What would you like, or what kind of business would you support in that particular building? I mean, it's a huge land, almost 3 blocks. What is
Mhm.
it that you would like to see in Harvard Grace?
Well, first of all, I feel that Harford County, because when you look at the numbers, when you look at when people come into the emergency room, I feel that Harford County needs two full service hospitals. First of all, if I had my way, they would put another hospital there. That's the bottom line. But, when I met with and talked with members from the health commission, it wasn't happening. And I gave my opinion to the Mayor Bill Martin, and the city council. And my advice was, okay, let's take 50% of nothing 50% of something rather than 100% of nothing, because it's obvious from the numbers that Harford County needs two full service hospitals. You can look at the numbers and it points that way. As far as what business I would like to see out, anything, I would back anything that's going to help Havre Grace to prosper. Like I said, my first choice, a hospital, a full service hospital. But you're talking about, I forget how many hundreds of millions of dollars to build a hospital today.
So,
But there could be a number of things there. There could be a really, and I would leave that up to the citizens, really, what they would like to see there, and what the leadership of of Havre Grace would like to see. Who knows? Maybe you'll get a hotel or a casino. I don't know. And
So you are
But
in.
something needs to be, that's a valuable piece of land, and something, I just don't want to see something thrown up there that's just not going to benefit Havre de Grace in Harford County.
So you believe that there should be two hospitals on that subject. You know, I mean,
Two full service
hospitals. So,
hospitals.
so the land that they acquired in Aberdeen originally started as a 25-acre lot, and now it's a 65-acre lot, bigger than the Beulah hospital. Beulah has about 50 acres. So, do you see a prospect? And of course, you might, but since you mentioned that Harper County requires two hospitals, do you see a prospect of a full-scale hospital in Aberdeen down the road on that location on 22?
That's a good possibility, and I would hope that that was happen. I did a lot of research on this over the last, you look at it. I mean, at one time there was a full service hospital. When they had the hospital in Boston was closing, that was proposed in Abingdon, in that property where you have Wegmans and all that. And I read the minutes of that, and people, one of the major objections that they would be in the hospital and they would hear the artillery rounds from Aberdeen. And that was one of the reasons that they didn't move forward with it. So, but yes, definitely that's a possibility. And I think that that's the greatest possibility, is for them to expand that hospital towards a full service hospital. But the way because I've met with Lyle Sheldon, I don't know how many times, the way healthcare is changing. I mean, I'm sure you gentlemen are older enough to know, for example, if your wife went to the hospital and had a child, well, gave birth. Well, how long were they in the hospital? 10 days, 2 weeks? Now they
Nowadays,
3 days and send them home.
Yeah, exactly. They're willing to send them home next day if they can.
Yes, yes. And I think it's because of the cost, and so the way we do healthcare, you look at surgeries. I mean, so many surgeries and that's been, a lot of that is the advance in healthcare science. Used to a lot of surgeries that were, done in the hospital, and you were there for days. Now they're outpatient surgeries, and you come in, you get your surgery, and you go back home.
Thank you. Arshad?
Yeah, let's open up the floor, see if anyone else has any questions. Please raise your hand or speak at this point. Mustafa, did you have anything to add?
I'm good, thanks.
Okay.
I'm disappointed.
I'm going to ask another question. This was just texted to me. You mentioned warehouse in Perryman Peninsula. They are proposing 5 warehouses, and of course the roads are not adequate. Would you support another businesses by expanding the roads and infrastructure, or are you opposing new business in that area?
Okay, first of all, let me explain. I'm for property rights. I believe if you own a property, you have certain rights, but with that, it comes responsibility and public safety. If you're creating a business that, shall we say, doesn't take into consideration public safety, because that is the problem in Perryman, is public safety. I would not be opposed to any business because of property rights. But right now, the traffic, and they're talking about 5.3 million square feet, and one of the warehouses is going to be like the 3rd largest, and the roads just can't handle it. They just can't handle it. So, no, I would not be opposed to another business coming there. Now, I like the view out there. It's farmland. And I know at one time they were talking about putting a solar farm out there. Mm-hmm. And, to me, those are kind of ugly, but with property rights, to me, just like everything else, personal right, there comes responsibility. And when you start putting other people's lives in danger because of your business, I would be opposed to any business that doesn't take public safety into consideration.
So is that a state road, or is it a county road? Who is in
County,
charge? County.
county. That's it. Again, when you look at the roads, okay, if it has a name, it's county.
County.
If it has a number, it's state. But a lot of times, there's state requirements that they have to go through as well as county.
Mhm.
The problem is once a property is zoned a certain way, then that determines what businesses can go there.
Okay. Students at Aberdeen High staged a walkout this Wednesday in reference to what they claim to be sexual harassment and um, uh, assault in the school area. What are your thoughts on that particular incident in Aberdeen High School?
Oh, you had to go there. um, I'm aware of the situation, and I got a lot of the details, like you did, probably from the paper, and talking with Councilman Wagner, who that's in his district. There's a problem in our schools, and to me, it's growing, and to me, there's a lot of issues that we face as a nation. How can I put this? Um, our children need discipline, but we need to listen to them and find out, and I mean intensely, because obviously there's a problem there that they don't feel that that it's being handled properly. We need to, our teachers, we need to work with our youth so that these things don't happen, and really do a thorough investigation and find out what the root cause is. And the parents need to get involved with their children's education, more of them. There's a lot of involvement, and I think it's growing, but there's a lot of frustration out there. And my thoughts is, you know, I don't know, just, do a thorough investigation and take care of the problem. Find out exactly what's going on. They feel that they're not being heard. So that tells you, we need to listen and not just, I'm not involved in it enough to, I'm not going to place blame anywhere,
Mhm.
because I haven't talked to any of the, I haven't talked to any of the educators at Aberdeen High School. And, there's probably a lot more to the situation than other than what was in the paper or what I've talked to Councilman Wagner about. I know he is really investigating it in hands-on approach to see what the problem is and what needs to be done.
I agree
But
with you. The students needs to know that elected officials and school board is behind this, and they need to know that they are doing everything that they can to prevent it to happen. So I'm with you. I'm with you
exactly, and
on that. Yes.
yeah, we need to listen. I mean, to me, if there's issues in the school with the students, the best source of information, let's go to the students and have an open conversation, and everything is kept confidential, so on and so on, and just do a thorough investigation. But the sources, the students are the one that are involved. We don't need to say, oh, they're just adolescents, they don't know what they're talking about. We need to listen to them and really get a handle on this, because otherwise it's just going to get worse.
We have about 4 to 6 minutes left, Councilman. A quick question: who do you have as your opponent in primary, or you do have none so far?
Yes, I have in the primary, oh gosh, and I'm trying to think of his name. Um, he owns the White Tiger Distillery. Nice gentleman. dots all the I's, crosses the T's. But like most, I don't think he realizes what he's getting into. And I've actually talked with him, and I feel on the county council, experience is a whole lot. Experience counts. And that's why I said, whoever replaces me, and I've talked to him about that. I'd like to bring him in a couple of years before the next, after this election, say, bring them in, and Lord willing, I'm reelected in 2022. I want to bring somebody in 2024 and start mentoring them, or, here's what's required. Here's how these situations, because, I want to pass on my experience. I'll put it like that to the next council person, regardless. And you know me, I work with everybody.
Yes.
And I feel that's why I was reelected, because I had a 33% increase in voter turnout in my district. I had the highest voter turnout, in the county. The next closest one was Senator Castley, and he had a 25% turnout. And as you know, I'm a Republican, and my district at that time was primarily Democrat. And the Democrats came out in strength, but I work across party lines. I have appointed Democrats to committees and positions. And for a while, when my legislative aide went on, she took a year's leave, and I couldn't tell her not to, because her husband took a position in Paris for a year. So, as an experience of a lifetime, and I appointed a Democrat. And I think that is one of the problems that we have. We're so divided along race, political, economics, that we need to start working together and not just talk about it. We need to walk the walk and really bring all the parties, because at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. How we get there, well, we might differ on that. We want safe communities. We want good schools. We want to be able to prosper and raise a family. I haven't talked to one person that said, I don't want that. But we're so divided. And if we come together, because we have a lot of smart people that have a lot of ideas on how to solve the issues that face Harford County. And we need to really, really come together as a people and work together. And that's why, I feel I was reelected, because I try to work with everybody that says, okay, I want to accomplish this, and it's for the betterment of the citizens of Harford County. But if you just want to stir the pot and cause trouble, no, I don't. I'm not into that. So.
Well, wait, I did have one question. If you don't mind.
All right.
Yeah. So I was just reading through some of the notes I've made in the past few months. I had a quick question regarding County Executive Glassman's, initiative to put term limits on county councilmen. I just wanted to get your take on that.
Okay. Because I know everybody asked me on that. I'm for term limits at the national level. Okay. At the state, at the local level, because I've been there. Okay. First of all, at the national level, it's very hard, in my opinion. The incumbent has a great advantage at the national level. And even at the county level, you have an advantage. But I feel at the county level, if you really had a bad county councilman, say, for example, it's easy to get them out of there. It really is. But experience counts. And I went back and forth on this one for a long time. Experience counts, and I'm not really for it at the local level. I'll just be honest with you. I don't really support it at the local level, because if you get a good county council person in there that's doing a job, And one of the reasons I say that, just like in my case, a lot of the things that I'm working on, like for example, Perrywood Gardens and getting Pasucia Road widened, that's not going to happen in 2 terms. It's probably not even going to be finished in 3 terms, but I'm hoping it's at a point, because I made a conscious decision that I'm only going to do 3 terms. So does that help? Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I'm for and against. Okay.
Well, thank you,
It's a
Councilman.
good question. It's a really good question. And who knows, I may feel differently about that in the future, because a lot of these things, you listen to the citizens. And again, on this one, I really went out and talked to a lot of people, and I talked to a lot of elected officials too, as well as citizens, to get their take on it. And I can say that the majority of the citizens that I spoke to, and I try to go, I just individuals, especially, that's why I like going to First Fridays. They'll ask me questions and I'll ask them questions, just to get a feel for where they are. And, I look at the emails. We didn't get a lot of emails on this one either. So I, talked to some people, and I would say 3 to 1. They liked the way things were as far as the council, as far as, okay, you guys, if we don't like you, we can vote you out quick, at the next election.
Well, thank you for taking your time. I know you're traveling, and we appreciate you attending this forum. Many of our members and attendees will reach out to you. They have your contact info. As I mentioned, it's a recorded program. It will be on our website. And we look forward to have you again on our forum, hopefully in the nearest future.
Yes, well, I look forward to it. This was very enjoyable. And actually, I would like to see a lot more of this. I think, United America Foundation, this is an excellent, I don't know what you want to call it, project or outreach that you're doing to get citizens involved. And I am very pleased. And, sure, call me at any time. And, for those who want my contact information, I'm a night owl, so I tell everybody my cell phone number is 443-504-4555. You can call me pretty much anytime, 7 days a week, 365. I like to take Sundays off. And if I don't answer my phone, don't leave me a voicemail. Okay, there's nothing that tells me to check my voicemail. For a fact, it's probably full now. Text me, and I'm very good about responding to text. And my legislative aide, Lydia, and I, we take pride and make sure that we try to answer every single call, email, within 24 hours. Sometimes it might take a little longer depending on how involved I am. But I really thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to all your members. And I hope you grow and get more citizens involved, because that's what we need. We need more citizen involvement in the budget process, in rezoning, in so many areas. And we need to hear from them. And not just those that are against something, but those that are in support of something. I said from the dais, usually the majority of the time we hear from citizens who are against something. I would like to hear more. I want to continue to hear from the citizens that are against, but I want to hear from the citizens for, because it gives us a better feel, or at least for me, of what the citizens actually want. I don't like that silent majority. I want to hear from them. Okay, and again, thank you.
Thank you very much, and good night, everyone. We'll look forward to see you soon. Thank you.
Have a great holiday season as well, Curtis. Enjoy your time.
Yes.
Family. Thank you.
And I would wish the same to everyone. Have a great holiday season. Spend some time with your family. Get some R&R. But let's be safe. Stay out of harm's way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night.